Hey guys, so today's video is actually one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I heard about it. Sorry, you guys are a little crooked. I'm a little crooked, I should say. I heard about it a long time ago on a podcast actually, which I will link below. And I feel like the first time I actually heard about it must have either been really early or it was incorrect reporting, because it was basically the front end of the story, which there's a big plot twist in the story. So I had this story written down, or this case written down rather, in my notebook of videos to do, where I keep all of your requests. So if you have any requests, put them there, and I promise you I keep up with them. But I've had this in there for a long time, thinking of the first half of the story and thinking, wow, that was such a brutal story. And then when I started looking into it again, I didn't remember any of the second half, which is the big plot twist. So it's a crazy case. This is the story of the LuluLemon murder, which is very sadly the death of a girl named Jana Murray, who I don't know her exact age at the time of this, but I would guess she would be in her 20s. This happened in a LuluLemon Athletica store, which is like athletic clothing. They're mostly known for leggings and such, in Bethesda, Maryland, on March 11th of 2011. The original thing that happened, or that was believed to have happened, so a coworker came into the LuluLemon store Saturday morning, which was the day after, and this part actually did happen. He found Jana Murray dead and her coworker Brittany Norwood bound and tied up. Bound and tied up is the same thing. I'm sorry. Norwood actually told the police that they had closed the store together and that Norwood had realized she'd forgotten, I think it was her wallet. So she called Jana and asked her to come back to the store, because Jana had keys to the store, and let her in so that she could get her wallet. When they returned, supposedly 2 men had followed them into the store. They assaulted them both, sexually assaulted them both, and killed Jana. Now, Jana was bludgeoned, choked, and stabbed to death, and had a total of over 300 injuries done to her. Now, on the other hand, Brittany Norwood had only a few superficial wounds. I think like some tiny cuts and bruises, which is weird, especially for what seems to be such a random crime, that only one of the victims would be murdered so brutally and then the other one would be barely harmed, but supposedly raped, or at least sexually assaulted. Brittany Norwood, went into great detail, saying that the men penetrated her and Jana with objects such as like a wooden coat hanger from the store. And she stated that it was 2 men wearing all black, and one was much shorter than the other, about 5'5", and one of them had a backpack. Now, 2 men fitting this description did show up on the security camera outside of the store, walking past around the time of the murders. I personally think this was a complete, not coincidence in that she named them and they showed up on the camera, more so a coincidence in that I think that Norwood saw them and decided, you know, basically they ended up being workers from a restaurant nearby, and the restaurant's dress code, like many restaurants, was to wear all black. So she probably saw these gentlemen walking past and thought, oh, that's an easy story, because there's going to be a lot of employees leaving the store around that time that are wearing all black. So it's easy to sort of pin on someone. Now, they were, those men were discovered, like I said, to have been workers of that restaurant, were completely cleared of any suspicion. And things started getting more and more suspicious with Brittany Norwood's stories. Something weird that police found in their investigation of the store was bloody footprints of a size 14 men's shoe around the store. Now, the footprints were found to have matched a pair that were kept in the store, hidden away in the back. So no one that just broke in would know where these shoes were, that were used for fittings. So if a gentleman came in and bought some sort of athletic wear and it needed to be altered, and say it was athletic pants of some sort, he didn't have tennis shoes on at the time, they had these size 14 shoes, because most men would be, 14 or under, so that the gentleman could put the shoes on and they could correctly alter where the bottom of the pants should fall in relation to regular tennis shoes. These shoes were found cleaned off, and the footprints that were left around the store were not of a natural nature, in that it didn't look like someone who was walking normally around the store. Some of the steps were sidestepped. It just didn't look like a regular stride, according to investigators who, know this type of thing, because they're going to follow where the footprints go. Footprints never led out of the store or into the store, because they were shoes from the store. And it's just odd that someone of a random murder would go in there, find these shoes, put them on, wear them around the store for the murders, take them off, clean them, and then put them back. It's an odd thing to do. Another thing that was odd about it was that all of the weapons used in the murder were items from around the store. So these men did not bring in any of their own weapons. That is weird as well. It can happen, obviously, but if it's any kind of premeditated murder, most people wouldn't rely on something that they're hoping to find. They would bring some sort of weapon. Again, Brittany having just superficial wounds, in contrast with Jana's really brutal murder, just sent up even more red flags to the police. Upon investigating, or I should say, treating the women and an autopsy of Jana's body, there was no evidence of sexual assault on either woman, which is weird, especially for someone who was murdered, I believe, because any sort of bruising or anything like that could show more, depending on when it was done in relation to her death. If you have a basic understanding of how the body works and how blood can pool and stuff like that, with a dead body. So that was weird as well. When they went to look for more clues or more, something to help solve the case, they found Jana's car. It was parked a few blocks away. And when they had originally asked Brittany, do you know what kind of car Jana drives? She said, no, I don't know what kind it is. I've only seen it once. Which says to me that she's, like I said, only seen it once, probably just in passing one night when they were leaving together, or arrived one morning together or something. No, reason for any red flags to go up there. Why wouldn't you tell them if you'd seen it any other time? Well, when they found the car, they found blood in the car. And Jana actually came into the station and told them, well, there's more that I haven't told you. The attackers actually, after the attack, made me go and move Jana's car. And they told me to move it a few blocks away and then to return to the store or they would kill me. And they had my driver's license, so they knew where I lived. Now, anyone of any kind of sane mind would not go back, especially if this had happened. I don't know if this happened after they had already murdered Jana. I assume it did. But why would you go? Why wouldn't you just go to the police and say, they're waiting for me? Or, they've got my address. Can someone stake out my house? Something. Move. You know what I mean? There's plenty of things you could do. rather than just willingly go back into that situation. So, especially if the only other person in relation to that is already dead. If they were maybe holding the other girl hostage and saying, we'll kill her if you don't come back, I don't know, maybe that could scare someone enough, but from the way it sounded, from the way she told the story, she was already dead, and that was probably why they were asking her to move Jana's car, to lower suspicion, supposedly. Now, what actually happened? It turns out that Brittany Norwood had a history of theft. She stole from friends, and she stole from previous jobs. There was some sort of, it wasn't technically theft, but there was some sort of like a discount that you get working for LuluLemon. You got a 70% discount on, I want to say it was like on this one particular day, and the max amount you could spend was getting $1,000 worth of retail, which would be $300 with the discount. And she had asked if she could get that raised a little bit, and then she like doubled that amount, and they were actually gonna fire her, and she ended up like shifting positions into this location. But at this location, and I think at the previous location too, she had stolen some leggings and such. She had stolen perfume from a friend. There was just a bunch of different incidents. It's speculated that she was a kleptomaniac. Well, at this location, they did purse checks, which I've worked at a retail store before when I was like 18. And all it is when you're leaving for the night, if you have a bag, you're opening it up so the manager can peek inside and make sure there's nothing from the store that you've taken. Well, that night, she had left the store, and supposedly Jana went to do a bag check on Brittany, and there was a pair of leggings. Jana asked Brittany, do you have a receipt for those? And she said, no, I don't have a receipt. Like, I work here and there's a no return policy. So it wasn't that uncommon for her to not have a receipt. So that wasn't like a major deal, but she stole them basically. I don't know the details. I don't think it's fully known the details. If there was an argument between the two, if she had to leave the leggings there, what the deal was, but there was some tension there. My guess is that Norwood was worried that she was going to get fired because, like I said, she'd already almost gotten fired from another job because of this. So that is when they both left the store. Norwood called and told Jana, hey, I left my wallet or whatever it was. I need you to meet me back at the store. And that's when everything went down. So all of this happened over shoplifting. I mean, this is ridiculous. Now, while Brittany was at the police station telling them about the moving the car incident, the police then believed that they had enough evidence to possibly charge her. So they detained her and tried to get more information out of her, told her all the evidence they had against her, basically. She refused to give up anything. Her brother, Chris, showed up, and he wanted to help, either help his sister or help figure out what happened. He just wanted to help. So he asked for time alone in the interrogation room. He told his sister he didn't see anything recording device-wise, although there was a camera in the room, so I don't know if he was just saying that to make her feel better or if he really thought they weren't being filmed. And he asked her what was happening, and she said, I'm going to ruin our whole family. And at this point, Chris is starting to suspect that she is guilty of something. After some little conversation, him trying to coax things out of her, he asked her, did you steal something? Which then laid out the timeline of her history of theft and a motive. So what is weird is that the prosecution in her trial was actually barred from introducing evidence that Murray had accused Norwood of shoplifting. I guess because they don't know for sure that there was an accusation or that there was an argument. Although it's highly, plausible that there was because it led to this. I'm sure emotions were high regardless of what exactly happened. The defense argued for a conviction of second-degree murder, claiming that the attack was not premeditated. The case received intense media coverage, and hence its name, the LuluLemon murder. The Judge Robert Greenberg, is quoted to have said, "You're one hell of a liar, ma'am," during the sentencing hearing for Brittany, who was then convicted of first-degree murder in the death of Jana Murray. In January of 2012, Norwood was sentenced to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. This is from an article I read, in a published opinion on April 29th of 2015, the Court of Special Appeals of Maryland rebuffed Norwood's request for a new trial, effectively ending Norwood's direct appeal options. So she is in prison. It looks like there's no more option for appeal and no possibility of parole. Now, I want to say life is normally, like 30 to 50 years or something like that, depending. So she'll probably get out someday, or at least be up for some sort of parole. So we will see as that unfolds way down the road. But this is really just an awful story, and what an awful lie to make yourself a victim when you took a life and ruined this poor girl's family. How devastating for them to have to go through because you stole something and you couldn't cop up to it and you couldn't face it. That's ridiculous. So as usual, my heart goes out to the family of the victim of Jana, and I can't believe that someone would go through that much just to cover their own tracks. It's ridiculous. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this is one that I wanted to cover for a long time and just always kind of caught my attention. So if you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button below, the like button below. If you guys have any suggestions for videos, true crime or otherwise, please leave those in the comments below. If you want to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button, as I upload new videos every Wednesday. And other than that, I will see you guys next week.